in the interest of time, we have a great, robust networking workshop for you all. We would ask that if you are not speaking, if you can go off of on mute so that we don't get much feedback. And I would also like to open up by sharing that my name is Lakaisha Lane, and I am the president of the NAMIC-Virginia chapter. Super excited to be here with you all. We also have some of our board members as well as our committee members on the call interacting in this session. So we certainly are excited to have you all here. We'd like to thank our members, thank our supporters, as well as thank our sponsors for all who continue to support this chapter and everything that we do. And it was even great to see some of you at our networking reunion we had a couple of weeks ago. So thank you again, and we are excited to have you here and hope that you gain a lot of tips from this discussion. For those of you, I see everyone is on camera. Woo-hoo! That is awesome, because a part of networking requires us to have that face-to-face contact. So great job. Thank you all for coming on camera as we have this interaction. So I'm going to go ahead and advance the slides to give you an idea. Hey, Derek, can you let Takanya in? An idea of what we are going to embark on today. We're going to do, I did my welcome already. We're going to talk through a 30-second pitch and the essentials that go along with creating your 30-second pitch. We'll give you some time to practice and share with others in a breakout room activity. We're also going to talk about networking with a purpose. And some of the things we shared there, again, we will give you practice so that you can hone on those skills as you take your networking to the next level. And then finally, we'll talk about pulling it all together. So everything that we share with you today, how can you pull it all together and begin using it almost immediately? We'll leave some time for some Q&A. And guess what? NAMIC-Virginia is known for our raffles. So we got a raffle that we're going to be doing a little bit later, but you have to be here to win. So can you all see my screen? I think I'm sharing I want to see your faces, but I know that that might take up some of my screen. So I'm going to move the visuals over to the side here. All right. So Derek, do we have our first poll? Did we do the poll? I'm not able to see.
Yes, we do have our first poll. I can launch it when you're ready.
All right, let's launch it. I want to see the answers to the question of, have you ever attended a virtual networking event before? All right, we got some answers coming in now. Okay. A large majority of us said no. So you are in the right place. We are ready for you. We are going to share some things about what you can do in a virtual environment to enhance your networking and create those connections. So thank you for that, Derek. I'll go ahead and share the results. And can I close this out, Derek? Is that okay?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, perfect. All right. So the first thing we're going to talk about today is a 30-second pitch. You may know it as the 30-second elevator pitch, but since we're not in elevators anymore, I took out the word elevator and we're going to go with the 30-second pitch. How do you speak your value around a virtual table? So the things that I'm sharing are things that I have been able to leverage, that my mentors have shared with me, that I've seen others do. And even the team shared some of the things that they do when they are coming up with the pitch that makes sense for who they are and how they share who they are and what they do. So the first thing you want to do is, of course, share who you are. You want to introduce yourself. You want to make sure that there's a pleasantry attached to it. And you want to have energy and a smile, right? So that you are able to build that connection. So I usually say something like, hi, my name is Lakaisha. Anything exciting happened today that made you smile? What that does is that breaks down that wall, that breaks down that uncomfortable feeling that someone might have when you approach them. If you ask them about themselves and something that made them smile, you will immediately feel their walls come down, as well as you'll see that there's a connection that you all will build after that. Then you want to explain, after they share something exciting, you also share something exciting too, which is, what do you do? Explain what you do and inquire about their role. So you say something like, that really sounds amazing. I would smile too. I was able to get in a 15-minute walk today with my dog, and that made me happy. I am a leader in the customer care department, and I'm responsible for developing leader coaching resources, as well as ensuring a frictionless, exceptional customer experience and making sure that that is at the forefront of everything we do. What do you do in your role? What that does is it gives them insight, a little bit of insight into your role, but also opens up for you to ask them so they can share what they do as well. So in the chat, if you can put if those two things, who you are and what you do, resonate with you, and if you have an introduction that you use, throw it in the chat so that others can see how you might use your personality to do these two essentials of who you are and what you do. Remember, we're going to practice in a little bit. You then want to extend an invitation by responding to what they do and explain what you would like to get from that connection, from a connection. And I see that it's a little cut off here. So you want to explain what you would like to get out of the connection that you all create today. Wow, your work sounds so rewarding. I would love to stay connected and set up some time for me to share more and to hear more about your work. Would that be okay? And of course, you allow them an opportunity to respond to your question. And that's where you then work through the semantics about what time works best, or is there a way that you all start communicating over email first so that you can get to your calendar, you can kind of see what your schedule looks like, and then you all can go from there. Finally, towards the end of your 30-second pitch, you want to explain and summarize what you discussed, show appreciation for the conversation, and explain to them what follow-up will look like now that you've been introduced to each other. And you want to connect with them on LinkedIn in the moment. So in the chat, let us know, do you have a LinkedIn account? And it's okay if you don't, because today is the day that you can begin to create your LinkedIn account. And I would encourage you all to connect with each other on LinkedIn if you are not already connected. So I would say something like, it was great connecting with you today and learning all about what made you smile and the work that you do. Would you mind sharing an email address so that I may send you an invite to continue the conversation? I also just sent you a connection on LinkedIn as well. It was a pleasure to meet you, and I look forward to talking to you in about 2 weeks. So who wants to come off the line and sort of tell us and pinpoint, what did that closing sentence do in that dialogue with the person? What did you set up that person to understand? Someone come off of mute and share.
I'll share.
Okay.
Hi, everybody. So to me, it means that you are saying to that person that you have an interest in staying connected with them, that you would like to continue to share, and just, continue to connect.
Yes, Charlene. Anyone else?
Yeah, I'd like to share as well. I think it means like Charlene said, you're extending the invitation after the initial meeting. So you're setting up expectation to continue to follow up and also to build a relationship after the meeting. So you're not just like, letting it go at that point. You're continuing to conversation forward, and you're already setting up an expectation that you're going to be reaching out. And so it kind of helps with building a relationship piece, in my opinion.
Yes, that's right, Derek. And it was very specific too, right? In about 2 weeks. Because what I find sometimes is we'll say, yep, I'll connect with you soon. Soon could mean forever, right? There's no definition around soon. But when you're very specific, then that person will walk away knowing, okay, Lakisha's going to reach out to me in 2 weeks. I look forward to it. What do you think happens if that 2 weeks comes and they don't hear from you? What do you think is going through their mind then?
I think that basically they just say, I'm thinking that you would just talk and talk, that you're not really interested in what they, in really networking with them.
Exactly, Bria, absolutely. So I would encourage you all to be very specific about when, and then also the proof is in the pudding, right? You have to do it. It's one thing to say it according, based on what Bria just shared. It's one thing to say it, but when you actually follow up and actually do it, that person is going to say, wow, they are really interested and sincere in creating this connection with me. I'm now going to make sure I find time to connect with them.
All right. It's funny because that's not just with networking, it's with everything. Is if you owe somebody some money, like, hey, if you say you're gonna pay me in 2 weeks, at least reach out to say, hey, I need a little longer. Or
exactly.
In our field, when we deal with customers, if you tell a customer something, they are expecting for you to reach out to them. If you don't reach out to them, then it's basically breaking their trust.
Exactly. And then to add on to that, can someone answer for me, what do you think will happen if you then reach out to them when you need something? What do you think will happen?
It's awkward moment. It's like,
they'd be a lot more willing to help out. And
yes, go ahead, Tiffany.
I was just going to say they'd be a lot more willing to help out because you've built that connection with them, you've built that relationship. And I know for me, if someone just randomly comes up and asks me for a favor, it's a little bit harder because I don't really know you, I don't know what you expect. But then having that relationship, you know what to expect from them. You know that they'll follow through, and you're more willing to help out.
Absolutely, because it starts with that first interaction with you, right? What did they say? How many seconds does it take to make a first impression, right? And so if you make that first impression that you are a man or woman of your word, right? Then they are more than likely and inclined to want to work with you even after the connection. So I am going to now let you know that, of course, practice is key. So we are going to put you in breakout rooms to discuss this with each other. What I'd like for you to do is to take 2 minutes right now to write out what your pitch is. And then when you get in your breakout rooms, practice it with your group. Let me go back so I can share, so you can see the things that you need as far as the essentials, who you are, what you do, extend an invitation, and what does follow-up look like now that you have made the connection. We have everyone back?
Everyone is back.
All right. So, anyone want to share their 30-second pitch?
Sure, I don't mind. I mean, why not?
Okay.
So for those who don't know me already, my name is Derek Williams. I currently serve the Government Affairs Department. I'm the Government Affairs Relations Senior Analyst here at Cox Communications. I've been employed with Cox Communications for about 11 years, coming up in November. Just so you know a little bit about me, personal life, I actually am a family man. I have a wife of 14 years. I have daughters ages 10 and 14, and I have a dog named Prince. And so definitely look forward to hopefully connecting with any of you all I haven't met in the future. And please look me up on LinkedIn, or you can send me an email at derek.williams@cox.com.
All right. So who wants to go next?
I'll try mine.
Okay, let's go, Gary.
Hi, I'm Gary Chan, Business Resources Consultant. Just imagine for a moment what your business look like when a significant amount of money comes into your account. It is challenging time. We help businesses with W-2 employees in all industry nationwide that were impacted by the pandemic to recover money through a federal program called ERTC, Employee Retention Tax Credit. The best feature of this program is that any money recovered on behalf of the business owners do not need to be paid back since it's not a loan. I welcome the opportunity to share more detail. My contact is in the chat. Thank you.
Awesome.
Feedback?
Yeah, so I was going to wait to share feedback for the ones that we hear, but does anyone have any feedback for Gary and even for Derek?
I've got feedback for myself. I actually forgot to tell you what I do. So that's one thing I just noticed that I didn't do this time when I shared. So just so you know what I do.
wrote down.
Yeah, I help
notes.
with this franchise agreements here. I make sure our localities are taken care of that we serve. That's some of the things I do in my role, but I have my own feedback for Gary. Is his name Gary? Gary, you did a great job. You actually reminded me that I forgot something. So I didn't hear what you did, but I know kind of what you are doing because you explained it very, very well. So I'd have nothing but good feedback for you.
Thank you.
All right. Anyone else? This is your opportunity to get all of the feedback that you can as you're working on it, right? Because this is an iterative process. You're not gonna, have the perfect one right now, because with practice makes perfect. So you're gonna constantly be adjusting yours as you meet different people and you watch how they respond, right, to what you say and how you say it. So it's going to be a journey to get to a pitch that really feels comfortable for you, that you can just say it without feeling any hesitation around saying it. And so anyone else want to share their pitch?
I'll share.
Okay.
Okay, so question before I share. Do we start with a hey there, hi, how are you, or hello? Like, how do you, because that hey there seems too comfortable and too, and
So,
I mean, in a professional setting, how do you start?
Yes. So I would say, this is my opinion, I would say, do what feels comfortable for you, right? When you are approaching someone in a virtual setting, you do want to say hello, right? I say, hey there, because that's what I say, right? It may not work for you. It might be, hi, how are you doing today? It might be, hi. So you choose what's comfortable for you. I just shared what's comfortable for me.
Okay, I got you. So I would start off saying, hey there, how are you? The person was fine. Well, my name is Bria Mason. I work for Cox. I've been with Cox for about 8 years now. I'm a client quality analyst too. And the reason why I kind of like try to figure out the names, because we actually just went through a name change. Before we was considered just quality assurance, but now throughout 8 years, what we do for under this position has advanced so much. So that's why we consider quality analysts. And what we do in my department is we listen to calls with a purpose. We don't just listen to, how you hear this call can be monitored for quality assurance. We do that, but we listen with a purpose. So let's say we have a lot of high average handle time, or we have a lot of credits being given out, or our sentiment score has lowered. We go in, we analyze the data, we see who actually are our outliers, which site, which agents, and then we do a drill down and listen to those agents. Once we finish our listening, we provide a detailed executive readout to provide to our directors and managers so they can know which trends we found so that we can address those trends to improve the numbers with Cox. So I am on LinkedIn, but my LinkedIn is not currently active. I haven't really been actively posting because as I was sharing in my breakout session, I always thought people try to spy on me on LinkedIn. So that's why I never really put my information out there where I worked or anything. But now this is a great networking source. So I will definitely be updating my LinkedIn, and I look forward to connecting with all you all.
Awesome. And I have some tips on LinkedIn that you'd be shocked to know. So we'll talk a little bit about LinkedIn. How am I doing on time, Derek or Takanya?
It's 12:35, so you're good. You're good. You're right where you are.
Okay. All right. So let me just share some feedback really quick from what I heard, and this will benefit all of you. Ask the person a little bit about themselves first. Right? So before you begin to explain who you are and what you do, I know we didn't have enough time to get into that, but I still want to remind you all, always ask the person first how their day was going. How was their weekend? What is something that they enjoy doing? What's next on their travel list, right? Find ways to connect to the person first before you get into explaining who you are and what you do. You want to break down that wall, because some people go into a networking event and they're like, oh my God, I can't deal with all these people. I just don't want to do this. So you want to be that person that helps them get through that as well. The other thing I would say is a crisp 30-second pitch is anywhere, when you're explaining what you do, is anywhere between 30 seconds and 45 seconds, okay? So make your pitch specifically about what you do, short, crisp, and succinct, to fall within that 30 to 45 seconds. Because what you don't want to do is lose them, right? And then while you're doing that, pause in between, right? Take a breath after you mention something, so that that person can absorb what it was that you just said that you did, so that they can put it in their own context. And if they have follow-up questions, it will allow them to ask you questions to get more clarification. And so those are the tips that I would give you based on what I heard. I'm going to go ahead and reshare my screen. And we are going to get into the next phase. So put in the chat for me how that interaction went for you, and what you think about it. All right. So next, networking with a purpose. The purpose is to meet new people and create a connection without geographical limitations. In this virtual environment, the sky's the limit. We have folks from California on this call. If we were doing in-person events, we may not have been able to meet someone from California because our chapter is here local in Virginia. But this virtual networking opportunity allows you to meet people from anywhere. And so take advantage of that. And so did you know that 40% of people feel more comfortable engaging with people online than in person? Why do we think that is? Who wants to share why we think that is? Anyone want to?
I believe because some people may feel nervous, may not be sure how to make connection with others.
Yes, yes. And it's easier, from what I read in studies and research, it's easier to put messages in the chat, right, than to have to engage in a conversation face-to-face and person-to-person. So people find it more, it's easier to connect with people through typing than it is through speaking. And since virtual networking is how we are going to be meeting people for the foreseeable future, we have to be intentional and we have to get good at it. And so I'm not sure if some of you have felt like this, but have you ever felt like the visual that this cat is giving, right? When you're at a networking event and someone you don't know says hello, right? Some of us clam up, some of us invite it. But if this has been you, I want to remind you that it's not networking if you don't meet people, right? So there's going to be a point where you have to work through getting through those jitters and getting more and more comfortable meeting people, because it will benefit you in the long run. So here are some tips on how you can gain the confidence to approach someone. This is what I do when I go to networking events. I deliberately identify 2 new people to meet and reach out to. And the way that I do that in a virtual environment is I open up the participants list and I look through it. And sometimes I do eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Sometimes I look to see where they're located. Sometimes I will search a name and I will go to LinkedIn and I will see what they do. And then I decide that these are the people that I want to interact with. And I do 2 people. And again, I follow the same tips that we talked about a little bit earlier. Another way to gain confidence to approach someone is to definitely create your online presence. LinkedIn is huge. There are so many decision makers on LinkedIn. And as a matter of fact, I was found on LinkedIn to work for Cox. That's how I got this job, is that they found me on LinkedIn and connected with me. If you want, you don't have to do the rest of these things, but consider a personal website. I don't have one myself, but I do have friends and colleagues that have personal websites that if you're uncomfortable sharing so much in one setting, you can point them to your personal website to learn a little bit more about you. Say yes to online events. And when you're there, say something in the chat, right? Even if you say, good morning, everyone, towards the middle of the event, if something resonated with you that someone said, say it. Wow, that resonated with me. I appreciate you sharing that perspective. And then before the session is over, wow, thank you so much for this invitation to this meeting. I got a lot of good information from it. You never know, and let me say, and if something resonates with you, share an experience that you might have had with what that person was just talking about. I can't tell you how many people have reached out after an event because of something that I shared that they also are going through, or they also are curious about. And you just never know how you can build connections just by saying hello to someone, just by commending someone on something that they said, etc. A known fact, and I heard this, I heard this most recently, sorry. You can't control how you are perceived, but you can control how you present yourself, right? So know that in these moments of networking, how you show up is a reflection on how you're going to be perceived, but you can't control that perception. So all I would ask is that you control how you show up and how you present yourself, which also lends to how you are viewed from a presence and brand perspective on how much effort you put into showing up, right? Don't always be the person off camera, right? A human connection is needed, and eye contact assists with that. So know that there are times where, yeah, you may not feel right to be on camera for that day, but don't let that be the norm. Let that be the exception. And then there are other virtual ways that you can create networks, and there are networking communities like Slack. There's a cool, unique one called Lunch Club. And so that one, you can meet people over lunch virtually. So you have your lunch, you know, at your desk, they have their lunch, and you just having a conversation. And it's a great way to learn and meet new people. And then there's also an app called, or a platform called Hi Hello. And this was specifically created to allow people to meet people from all over the world, and you know, expand your connections. Okay, so practice again. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing here. And what we're going to do next is we're going to place you in different breakout rooms. And we want you to write down 2 things at a minimum that you learned about people in your room. And so we ask that when you go into your rooms that you give people the ample opportunity to share a little bit more about themselves, and then that allows you to write down 2 things that you learned about them. So Derek, whenever you're ready. All right, welcome back. So we have time for one person to share 2 things that they learned about someone. Who
Can I
wants to
share?
Okay, go for it.
So I had 3 lovely ladies on my team. So we had Charlene, who used to be a performer. She's a songwriter and a songstress. She doesn't do anymore. She now spends her incredible time being a life coach. So she mentors. She does life coaching for people like rape victims, tongue-tied. And just basically body images, basically how help people build up their self-esteem. I also had, am I just sharing one or all 3?
Just one.
Just one. Oh, okay, I'm sorry, ladies. I just want to share you all other one.
All right, no worries. Thank you, Bria, for sharing. And so I'm going to share my screen one last time, because in the interest of time, we want to make sure we get through the rest of the program. And so let me go through. Okay. Putting it all together, your network is your net worth. I know some of us have heard that before, but let me say it one more time. Your network is your net worth. So be sure that after you made the connection, don't be forgotten. Send that follow-up, right? And I gave you, here's an example of a follow-up email that you can send. And we're going to send out this presentation for you to have, and it'll have this for you. But the key parts about this is reminding the person when you met them and where you met them, expressing gratitude or thanks for learning more about who they are, being passionate about finding someone who might be in the same field or might have a similar interest as you. And then as well, making sure that you remind them that you want to stay connected and how you plan to do so. And insert a few things you want them to remember about you, because you know, at networking events, we meet so many people. Sometimes we're like, who was this person again, right? So make sure in your follow-up that you mention some things that maybe will jog their memory about who you are. And then when you close it out, of course, put your name, your email address, and if you have, it looks like everyone has a LinkedIn, what your LinkedIn account is. So today is the continuation of a connected life. So practice your 30-second pitch, practice on family, friends, your mirror, your team members. Over time, you will make tweaks. As I talked about earlier, it will become a lot more comfortable for you where you don't have to feel like you're reading from it. It will become natural because it has become innately who you are and how you describe yourself and what you do. Please know networking is essential for creating opportunities for new projects, being considered as a viable candidate for a role that might get posted, and you just never know. You will be creating sponsors and cheerleaders that will speak your name when you are not there. And I am a true witness to that connections have allowed me to do some of the things that I do, not just at work, but also in my community. Change your frame of thinking about networking and intentionally seek out those opportunities that will allow you to meet new people. Don't wait for the opportunity to come to you. You go find it. And then last but not least, stay connected, stay connected, stay connected. If you haven't jotted down the name of everyone in this session right now, you are not connected. So I encourage you to jot those names down. It's not networking and building connections if you only meet once and are only connected on LinkedIn. All right. So we have time now for questions and answers. We might have time for one or maybe two questions or reflection or comments. Yes, Gary.
I have a question. I don't have a LinkedIn account yet. Is it how do I connect with the rest of the members here today? Is it something we can share in the chat? What's the rule now?
Yeah. So Derek, correct me if I'm wrong here, but when we send out the recap to the individuals that attended today with the PowerPoint, you will see the email addresses of the folks on this call. You can also, to your point, Gary, if everyone is willing to put in the chat what your email address is. And if you're interested in connecting, you all now have the email address. And please put your first and last name too, because I know sometimes our email addresses don't match our first and last name, so it might be difficult to know who you are. But if you're interested and open, go ahead and put your information in the chat.
Thank you.
And there's a way that you could save the chat. If you go down to the bottom where you go to type, there's 3 dots. And I don't know if everyone can do it, but it has save chat. I believe you can save the chat so you can have that information as well. Okay. Thank you for that question, Gary. Well, in the interest of time, there is a poll that just came up and we would love for you to take that. Did you find this session helpful today? And we really look forward to seeing you all at some of our future events. I'm going to go ahead and pass it over. Can you all still see my screen or no? No, right? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Azaria Workman, who is our Vice President of the NAMIC-Virginia chapter, to share some closing remarks.
Yes, so first of all, thank you everyone for attending. I hope you enjoyed the session. We do have some upcoming events coming. We have one called the President's Circle, and it's Women Who Lead. I pinged Lakeisha last week on this one, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be very, very interesting. So I can't wait to attend this event. It is October 6th. It's at 4:30 p.m. If you have not registered, please make sure you're registered. Lakeisha is one of the panelists for this event. So it looks really interesting. I really, really need you all to look at the caption of what it says. That's what got my attention. So make sure you look out for that one. Next one, Lakeisha, is that the last event we have?
That is the last one for so far, yes.
So far. So that's the last one we have for within the next 30 days here. So please look out for that one. We will have some more upcoming events to close out 2022. And we look forward to your participation. Thank you for participating today. And you all have a great day.
Well, wait, we do have a raffle. So,
oh, yeah, we do have the raffle.
Yes, Charlene, were you able to pull the names?
Give me 1 second here.
Come on, Charlene, pick my name. Pick my name.
Who we have here? Bria.
No. I don't want this to know. This is not a conspiracy, you all. Thank you so much, Charlene, for this.
that is a perfect moment of when you speak it into existence, right?
I just want to thank you all for having me today. I have learned a lot, especially, okay, wait, what's the prize of the raffle?
It's a surprise. You get it. We'll reach out to you to get your information so we can mail it to you.
I'll be looking forward to it, you all. Thank you all so much.
All right, Charlene, who's the second person?
Okay, let me do the spin.
Bye,
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye-bye.